comic strips where people are using stick figures. And they're hilarious. And the reason why they're hilarious is because of the timing and what the joke is about. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you just for a minute about today, is the joke construction. There's different kind of jokes. We've heard everything from knock-knock jokes to, we've heard pretty much everything. And in order to correctly get a joke right, to make somebody read something, whether it's this many panels, 2 or 3 or 4 panels, to get somebody to read something and just to get them to go like this. That's the goal of a comic strip artist. You don't want them laughing where everybody's beating on their knees and they're, oh man, this is so funny. You're rarely going to get that. You just want the, and if you can get the, then you're fine. You did your job, you did it well. Next panel, please. So the last one I wanted to show you, we're so sweet. Was that number 1 that we missed? Was it Kelvin on? That's okay. Let's go back to 1.
Oh no, we know everything.
Wait, go to slide.
It's been great knowing y'all. Y'all know everything now. We'll see you later.
Go to slide
Joking.
1.
That's okay.
Thank you for your guidance.
No problem. Go out there and kill them with those strips. Okay.
I gave you a pitch cut.
That's okay. Let's go to the first one. That's fine. So the next part that I want to talk to you about is the different kinds of joke construction. I'm going to go over 5 today real quick with y'all. By the way, when I was your age and I was in school, I could not stop doodling. I couldn't stop it. Just, well, class, today we're going to be learning algebra. Yeah, that's great. I'm going to doodle this guy, killing this guy over here. That was me, and what I got was a whole lot of stop your doodling and pay attention. That's what I got in class. And then when the report cards came out, I would get the same comment pretty much every year. If Joel applied as much effort into his work as he did his doodling, he would be a straight A student. Just like clockwork, it would come out. So because I got that, I'm going to tell y'all, just for this class, not for your other classes, just for this class, doodle all you want. I don't care. Just doodle. If you love doodling, get out your markers, get out your pencils, doodle. Yes?
Yes, sir.
For those little, I've seen on art website where they do that, it helps me think.
It does. It does. Not everybody learns the same way. I knew a guy who would doodle, right? And those were his notes. For some reason, his brain worked in a certain way where he would open up his notebook and he'd see this girl being rescued by this guy riding on a horse, and all of a sudden he could remember exactly what the teacher was talking about. So don't doodle in your other classes. Don't get me in trouble. But for this class, doodle all you want, because if that's the way you learn and that's the way you remember, by all means, go nuts. Yes, the panel with the number 1. Number 1, misdirection. So as I was saying before, there's a couple different kinds of joke construction. Ways to tell a joke effectively and that it's funny. This is one of my own. The first one I want to talk to you about is misdirection. Anybody got to guess what misdirection joke telling is like? What does that mean? Anybody? Yes?
You think they're going to say something when you say something?
Perfect. Perfect. Great job. So misdirection is when you lead up to something, and everybody over here, I'm telling a joke, and I'm telling a joke, you're leading up to something. By the time you get to the end of the joke, everybody thinks, oh, well, the joke's about this. But then as soon as I get over here, go the other way, no, the joke's about this. And that is entertaining. That's what's going to keep people's attention. That's what's going to make them get the little, because, oh, he got me. That's not what I thought I was going with that. So that is misdirection. So this is one of my own. And at the end, if you read it, anybody want to read this? Anybody know? I knew you were going to raise your hand. Go for it. Get it.
Okay. Which one?
You read, I'll tell you what, you read the guy with the afro, and I'll read the little kid.
Okay, those are good.
Who wants to, you want to read the little kid? Hit it.
Your mom told me that you're going to answer an art contest at school.
Love in the voice. Come on, keep it going.
Well done, Alan.
No, son. What have I always said?
It's not Shut up, he's all excited my teenage voice.
It's okay, you got the first line in the last panel.
What's that?
That's right.
That's right. Very good, very good. I like it. I like it a lot. So, misdirection. The last panel, maybe you're supposed to think, well, it's not about everybody else winning. It's about how you play the game. Who's heard that one, right? It's not whether or not you win or lose, but how you play the game. Well, that's the lesson we're all taught. But this one's got a little twist at the end, and it kind of makes it, oh, well, I guess that family's a bunch of cheaters and They kind of just, they're out to win it. And that's what kind of makes a difference, kind of makes it funny. That's misdirection. Number 2, wordplay. This one's about the word fly, right? So there's fly, because he's got the little Superman doll. There's fly, as in, oh, fly, you know, knowing fly. There's fly as in the fly, you know, your zipper of your pants. And then there's fly as in fly.
Do that again.
One more time, ready? Everybody watching? Fly.
Yay!
I'm not doing it a third time. Okay, so that's fly. Can anybody else think of any other words that have multiple meanings, but it's the same word? Yes.
2.
2? Give me one meaning for 2.
A number.
Right. Another one.
As in 2, as in there's too many people.
Right. T-O-O. Anyone else?
Someone,
What was that?
to someone.
Yes. T-O. So that's a great example of a word that can be used different ways. And if you can think of a funny way to use the same word over and over again, that's called wordplay. That's a way of constructing a joke where you're using the same word, and it's kind of interesting. You can manipulate the English language all kinds of ways like that and come up with something funny. Yes?
I got a cool one. How about die?
Die? Yeah, I like
Die
that.
as in death,
Yeah.
and die as in coloring.
Right. Now, here's the funky thing about comic strips. There's different kind of panels. We're going to get to this in just a second, but you saw the ones with Garfield and Peanuts before, where it was multiple. Well, mine normally are 4. Sometimes I'll do 2. Sometimes I'll do 3. It's whatever serves the joke best. Whatever you need to do to make the joke funny, that's what you're going to do. So for die, that would have 2 panels, because that's all you can get out of it. I'll give you another example. Who can tell me, I need 3 different variations on the word but? Anybody? One variation.
Okay, one variation is the end of a cigarette.
Yes, cigarette butt. Yes.
H-E-B.
What was that?
Henry Edward Butt.
Yes, that's right, H-E-B.
Gluteus maximus.
Gluteus maximus was the one I was waiting for. I thought you were going to go for that one first. But gluteus maximus, a booty, those are all butts. And you can do the same exact joke except use the word butt. Draw something with a butt on it. You know, cigarette butt, butt, you know, just, I'm saying butt way too much. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's move on to joke 3.
But I wanted to know more.
Joke construction number 3, sight gags. Anybody want to guess what sight gags are? Anybody who hasn't said anything yet? Come on, you gotta have a guess what a sight gag is. Yes. Perfect. Perfect. Sight gags are basically a joke that's based less on what's being said in the comic strip and more on what you're seeing. So comic strips combine pictures and words in order for the author to make a joke. So for this one, can anybody try to glean what the joke is? Anybody?
Honestly, I have no idea.
That's okay. That's okay.
It's like the embarrassment of you, like, looking at yourself.
Getting better, getting closer, yes. I'm thinking of something very specific. Go for it. What's the sight gag in this joke? Yes. Yes, you're so close, but what exactly about, what part of these images is the joke?
He's looking in the mirror.
Very good, very close. There's one section I'm looking for. Huh?
They keep locker room.
Yes, because you don't see, if you're reading from left to right, which we all do, you don't really get to that. What the heck is he doing? Okay, he's, what is he? He's kind of posing and into himself? Okay, weird, weird. Okay, oh, wait, he's in a locker room. Okay, I get it. He's in a locker room and somebody's been staring at him. He's in a public place and he just embarrassed himself. So you didn't know that until you get to the 3rd panel, and you'll notice this one's 5. It took me 5 to get to the joke. So that's a sight gag. It's not necessarily what they're saying, but what's in the picture. Let's go for number 4, joke construction number 4, reinterpretation. This one you've all seen. Well, probably most of you have seen it. Anybody seen a little show called Family Guy? Anybody? Right, so what are like half the jokes in there? Oh yeah, well, it's just like that one time I did this. And then they cut to a whole other scene where he does something ridiculous, and it illustrates that one time that he did that thing. Well, that's reinterpretation. Reinterpretation is taking the joke into a completely other scene, a complete other area, where you're demonstrating something really ridiculous. Calvin and Hobbes did this like no other. When he was Spaceman Spiff, or he was a worm, or it's just something completely different, and all of a sudden you realize, oh, wait a minute, that's the joke, is that he's imagining it. This is the same kind of thing. This character is named Joelly Boy, and Joelly Boy is thinking of how he's pinned down by all this gunfire, and it turns out it's not pinned down by gunfire, but pinned down by pins by his mom. So that's a kind of different way of telling a joke. And the last one that I'm going to talk to you about today is number 5, understatement. Who can tell me what an understatement is? It's a little bit of more of a complicated joke telling way, and if you can get it, once you get it, it's really easy. Go for it.
It's like when somebody starts talking about something totally random and then you get to an understatement which sort of has the joke in it, and then it starts getting to that and explains it if you read it closer.
I like where you're going with it. Yes.
It's kind of like, for an example, like you're talking about a huge mountain like St. Everest or something.
Okay.
And it's like, that's a big mountain.
Right, because it's not just big; it's huge. It's like telling somebody in here is super thirsty, and I come up and I give them this gigantic jug of water to drink, and I say, a little thirsty, a little thirsty. Here you go. You're not just a little thirsty; you're a lot of thirsty if I'm giving you that huge jug. Understatement's a great way to kind of get a quick joke across. Now remember, comic strips are something, it's a medium where you're looking for the real quick joke. It's a joke, and then you move on. It's a joke, and then you move on. Anybody seen the funny pages in here? I'm sure you all have seen the funny pages, right? So the funny pages is a whole page of strips, and they're all different. And it takes you all of 2 minutes to get through them all. It's just real quick jokes. All right? And yeah, hook me up. All right, now we're going to get to the pages in front of you. If you open up these folders that you have in front of you, you'll see that there are pre-printed pages for comic strip construction. If you don't even have any interest in comic strip construction, I don't blame you. It's not for everybody. So feel free to doodle and whatever you want on there. But if you're going to try to tell your own comic strip, I would highly suggest thinking of it in the way that's in front of you. Those papers have a grid plotted out on it, and that grid is designed to help you set up a joke. You think of any kind of joke using the points of joke construction that we've gone over. You can tell a joke in such a way that you can use one panel. You can use one panel as you see here. The whole thing is just one joke. Can you hook me up with the next slide? Can you get the next slide? Yeah, sure. You are awesome. 2. Next one. 3. Next one. 4. These are the way the plot pointed out. And in these circles that you see around the grid, you'll actually see what it's like, where you would have to draw the line. You should all have some rulers at your table. Feel free to just draw those in, do what you want. Next slide, please. Awesome. The last thing I want to talk to you about before I cut you loose on those comic strips, and I will obviously be around, so if you have any questions on anything comic strip related or even anything else related. You want to talk about the birds and bees? Anybody take me up on that? I don't think so. Yeah, there you go. I knew that was coming. Okay, so basically the last thing I want to talk to you about is dialogue boxes. Dialogue boxes are kind of a cheat. If you don't have to use them, I would suggest using them. But these yellow boxes that are at the top and the bottom of the comic strip, they're going to be kind of a way that as the author of the comic strip, as the person drawing the strip and making up the words, that you can kind of talk to the reader directly while at the same time just still entertaining them with the dialogue boxes. So for this one, I'm going to need 2 more people, hopefully 2 people who can do awesome voices. I like that a lot. There's 1. There's 2.
Oh, man.
It's all right. You already went through it. It's all good. All right, so I need somebody to be the guest, the patron eating, and somebody to be just Joel. Yeah, all right, it works. All right, so give it a shot. I'm going to be the dialogue box. So I'll go first, and then I'll go last. Here it goes. Somewhere along the way, the term server became the preferred nomenclature over waiter.
Oh, wait. Joe's little kid?
No, this guy's the patron.
Oh,
That's just Joel.
First.
Wait, so I'm doing the other
Yes.
one? Well, I couldn't tell if I was being forced or not.
After ordering an expensive meal, I'm going to tip off 100% of the cost. Okay, but...
Is that Brad?
But Brad,
No offense, but you're a bad actor.
Yes, sir. Yes,
What?
sir.
Rude might kill you.
Go. Speak.
Say yes, sir.
Yes, I did say yes, sir.
come on! Face.
How would I do
Those
it?
delicious.
They're fresh baked, sir.
Well, all right, weenie boy, 100% tip as promised.
What a nice guy.
Not that your server cares what you call them, if they know you tip well. So the joke here is basically the fact that this guy's calling him all sorts of names, and at the end he's still chill with it. He's happy. Why? Because he gave him 100% of the money. So if the meal cost him $5, he got a $5 tip, and so on and so forth. Now that in and of itself might be lost on the reader if you didn't have these boxes. These boxes are kind of cheap. You can use them in order to tell the reader, all right, if you don't get the joke, let me ruin it for you. Here's the